You know what though? I want to kind of intervene here a little bit because I like something that Ricky was saying earlier
Okay.
about the day-to-day professionalism that it takes to be a professional wrestler. We were talking about that just a minute ago when we were off camera, but if you could just hit that a little bit, because a lot of young guys out there who think they see the glamour, they see the glitz, they don't see the duct tape and the bar with all the stuff you got to do to get to the ring. Can you just talk about your normal day?
Yeah, I mean, that's like I was saying earlier. It's something that I touch on in seminars, which I do quite often. A lot of guys and girls, always seem to ask that question of, well, when do you get to the gym? And, I don't always, it's hard to eat on the road. It's hard to eat good on the road, or it's hard to, travel and do A, B, and C. But it's really not. We're fortunate enough now where we live in a time where independents there's kind of like that schedule. It's kind of like a regular work schedule, right? It's kind of maybe like the Thursday or Friday into a Sunday. So we have those buffer days, where you should be in the gym, like consistently, maybe even if it's 3-4 days a week. There's really no excuse for it, and I don't know. I always took like the old school mentality of like, no matter what happened the night before, you get up, you get to the gym the next day, and then you hit your next town type of thing. And I always thought, guys like the British Bulldogs, like they didn't have the luxury that we have today with GPS and, you can find that there's a gym in every town. Like they had to go search for it, look for it, make it a point that was a thing. And eventually you start building the camaraderie of other wrestlers that do that. Not every wrestler maybe feels a need to do that or whatever, but I'm one of those guys that does that. And when I do the seminars and I stress that because you really don't start understanding professional wrestling or getting it, I guess, till about 10 years in, because you got to fail so many times. There has to be setbacks. There has to be frustrations. And that's when you start to realize, like, hey, I'm kind of getting this. September will be 20 years for me in professional wrestling. I've never taken a time off unless I was seriously injured, which has only happened maybe twice in 20 years. But I pride myself on not getting ready, but being ready, at all times, so you never have to really start to train, right? I'm always training. So what I'm getting at is like, there's always time to do something for yourself. And I'm not saying you have to be a gym rat, like you have to be the next Cage, or you have to be these guys that need to be in a gym so much as it is get up, do some squats, do some push-ups, pull-ups. There's things you can do at home.
It's still the conditioning.
It's the conditioning part, yeah. And especially nowadays, like we were also talking about, it's about, producing in the ring now, more so than maybe like in the 80s when it was like you want to look like a wrestler. And what does a wrestler maybe look like?
Ultimate Warrior,
Hercules Hernandez, Warlord, those type of guys. It's not that era anymore. It's about not the show muscles, but the go muscles, the CrossFit, the smaller guys in the UFC and smaller boxers. They're the main attractions to where maybe in the 80s and early 90s, it was all about Tyson and the heavyweights. It was the big boys, right? It was all about the big guy game. Now it's not, it's really not. It's about, Finn Balor could very easily, I'm sure, be on 205 Live, but he's not. He's a main attraction on Raw, and he's